Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's podcast, we're going to be reviewing game week 8, some big results, some big upsets. And of course, joining me this evening to review these matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Sir Cole.
Blessings, everyone. Glad to be back.
We also have returning Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, gents. Yes, indeed. International break is over. Back in some football action and back with some big results and some big upsets. Christoph, we're going to kick things off over there at the Emirates. Talk to us what went down in that Bournemouth game. Another case of refereeing decision. What's going on?
Well, my initial thought was the wrong decision was made, and then the referee went over to or the VAR said, "Hey, clear and obvious error or something." He went over, reviewed, and then changed the card to a red, which I also thought was an even bigger error because seeing
But
it
I mean, he
real
was the
time,
last man around there.
seeing real time. Watching it live first time, I was like, "Oh, offside." Watching the replay confirmed to me that it was offside. I don't know
Mm.
where they get this foul from. Foul or not, there was an offside.
Right. Well, I didn't see that, to be honest. I'm not sure why
Watch
offside
it,
wasn't
watch it,
called.
watch it right
If
now. It was an offside, but instead a foul was given.
Ah,
Clear and
interest.
obvious offside. You didn't need to watch a replay to see that it was offside.
Oh,
There
so
was
the referees blundered then.
the referees have blundered again. And Arsenal have paid the price. Every game that the referees have blundered so far, Arsenal have dropped points. So
Mm.
I don't know. I saw offsides. If it wasn't offside, I don't know what camera angle they were providing where I couldn't see any other player. It was an offside. I don't understand. Why
What
was
says
why
your
was William
circle now?
Saliba sent off?
How did you see that one circle? I mean, having seen the highlights, so to speak, what's your take? Was it a offside, bad call, poor call, or by the letter of the law? The refs got it correct.
No,
What's
well,
your take?
I really did not see the offside. To me, he was denying our goal scoring opportunity. He was the last man, and to me, the referees made the right call.
It seems as if emotions are split on this one circle. I mean, we saw a
I mean,
similar incident in that Liverpool Chelsea game. And in that one, it
Mm-hmm.
was a yellow card that
Mm-hmm.
was given.
Right.
In the Arsenal game, it was
uh,
a yellow initially, but then that decision
even
was
even
up to a
even
red,
even if I say it wasn't offside and it
right?
was a foul,
Mm-hmm.
it was not a clear goal scoring opportunity. They were at the half line, 45 yards from goal, and there was another defender who could have tracked across. The ball was not under control by the striker or anybody, so it was not a last man challenge, and it was
Mm.
not a clear goal scoring opportunity in my
So
opinion.
for you, then referee blunder, then Christoph.
Blunder, blunder. As I
Ah,
said, it was offside. It was not. It was not it was not out. Regardless of if it was a foul or not,
right.
offside was the call that should have been made.
But I mean, having gone down to 10, Arsenal held out at halftime with a nil-nil draw, but they could not hold it together for the second half. I mean, it was a similar scenario over there at the Emirates, Christoph. I mean, when Arsenal in that one could have possibly been argued that they suffered from another refereeing blunder, but they held on there. But what was this case here versus Bournemouth? I mean, Bournemouth isn't the most prolific of teams, but they managed to bang in too.
Um,
Oh,
I think the difference here is that Arsenal are missing more key players again. It's not necessarily a case of Bournemouth being spectacular or anything like that. Arsenal are missing some key threatening players in my opinion. But also, so far this season, to me, it seems like when Arsenal go down to 10 men, to me, it look, and even last season, it doesn't look like Arteta has any plan in place to win the game when Arsenal are 10 men down. So, um, that might be a factor as well, and something that definitely needs to be fixed if you're going to continue to be playing against 15 man each game.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of indiscipline creeping into the team, I would say. I mean, it can't all be down to refereeing decision. The fact is, Saliba was out of position
Uh, the the
for
the
that
the the,
challenge,
the fact of the
and
matter is
it forced the ref to make a
the
decision, so to
the
speak,
fact of the
Christoph.
matter is Arsenal have three red cards this season. Three red cards. Only one of them have come as a result of a tackle.
Mm. And
So
which one was that?
it is the Saliba incident
Oh,
because
the
they
Saliba
said
incident.
it's a foul, right?
Right, right,
Not
right.
offside to me. That's all I saw. Offside.
Yeah,
Didn't
we
see anything
definitely
else.
going to have to re-watch that
Yeah,
situation and
definitely
look for the offside
rewatch it.
because
It
in
was
watching that
offside.
game, there was never any mention of any
Never.
No, yeah,
offside possibility, to be honest. So
that is
this
what
come as a big shock to me
that
hearing.
is what shocked me. I was like, did the offside rule change or something? Because it was
Mm,
offside. There was nothing else but offside there. I don't know. I thought that was the clear and obvious error that the VAR was talking about.
interesting times ahead. So in terms of Arsenal prospects, though, Christoph, what says you going forward? Early days can easily come back from uh this.
I mean, this early in the season, the loss is kind of meaningless. But later in the season, it could be a loss that comes back to haunt you. Last season, Arsenal lost the league by one win. They just needed one more win and they would have sealed the title. So right now, the loss doesn't matter. But later in the season, it could be a factor.
But I mean, going forward, can Arsenal cope, as you mentioned? Key players out. Saka is now out. Saliba suspended for the next game. And of course, Odegaard still on the mend. Timber dealing with injuries as well. So a number of players. This is a case where Arteta has overworked these players and stressed them into injuries. I mean, you look at the likes of Saka. I thought he should have been rested at some point in the last couple of games, but he's been back to back to back 90 minutes. He's the first
Um,
name on the team sheet.
both Odegaard and Saka received their injuries on international duty. It's nothing to do with
Well,
Arsenal. Both of them.
what's
Timber
going on over there with the
Timber picked
England squad? I mean, are
Timber
these
picked
players being
up
overworked?
an injury, I think, in a game like two games ago. I think it was after it was during the Manchester City game. Timber picked up an injury. But yeah, both Odegaard and Saka picked up their injuries in an international, so
Mm.
it's nothing to do with Arsenal. Um, I
Interesting
I
times ahead, though,
I
in
thought
terms of dealing
Arsenal
with these injuries.
would have withdrawn him from the England squad, to be honest, so that he could rest. But
Definitely. Team management that comes into play, and managers have to be cognizant of the number of minutes players are racking up, physios, team doctors, etc. But Sir Cole, Liverpool riding high at the top of the table, getting a big win versus a rejuvenated Chelsea team. You saw that game, Sir Cole. You were locked in. Give us your take. Is this a Liverpool team that can challenge for the title, or is it just for show?
Well, the results suggest have shown that yes, they are in contention for the title. They currently lead the league, have been doing so for a few weeks now. A very entertaining game, I say, especially for the in neutrals. Um, Very tight battle. Both teams creating chances. Even though Chelsea lost, they still got a few look-ins on goal. Just unfortunate that they only put away one of those chances. But yes, Liverpool have been showing that they are title contenders, and it will take some beating to beat them to to the title this season.
Definitely. I mean, the new manager has come in, inherited a squad, made only one signing, Chiesa, who have been out injured the last couple of games. But he's getting the business done, Sir Cole. I mean, the likes of a Curtis Jones, for example, totally locked down Cole Palmer. This was a big shock to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, I think have been players who have impressed a lot over the last 2 seasons, quietly doing their thing under the radar. Very underrated players, but very effective players in the role that they perform for this Liverpool team.
Almost like McTominay performing for United Circle, a man who operates below the radar but does the dirty work in the middle of the park and oftentimes doesn't get the plaudits.
Yeah, we set up in many teams all the time. But yes, the game yesterday was Jones's game. He got the chances, he made the best of them, and got the result for his team.
Definitely. But Christoph, what says you? I mean, is Slot the genuine article? Can he push Man City or even Arsenal to the title? I mean, those seem to be the three teams at this point in time that has a realistic chance, I would say, in terms of going forward and really challenging for
But
that EPL title.
you're counting out Aston Villa.
Definitely. I think Aston Villa doesn't have the staying power to really win it. We're talking about winning it, not necessarily finishing in the top four, but
Um,
winning. I mean, you need squad depth, you need quality coaching, and you need that staying power as well, being able to cope with the pressures at the top of the table and that experience. Of course, I would say Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal would have that amount of experience where they've led the league, won the league, challenged for the league over the last couple of years. I mean, Aston Villa, while they have been doing well, I don't think they'll be able to cope with the pressure at the top right there. And of course, as you mentioned, you need a deep squad to be competing in four competitions. Aston Villa this season is in the Champions League, almost similar to Newcastle of last year. Will they be able to cope with the rigors of the Champions League and the EPL as well? That's yet to be seen. But we know Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, they've been doing it year in, year out. They are quite familiar with the schedule, squad rotations, proper team management, etc., competing on all fronts. So I think those are the three teams from what we've seen thus far. 8 games are gone, and it's 1, 2, 3 for those teams at the top of the league, so to speak. But I'm not too convinced, Sir Cole. This was a game which was a big test, I would say, for Liverpool, but it's a more cautious approach, especially being taken at Anfield, which was once a fortress under Jurgen Klopp. I mean, this game was closer than I anticipated.
Well, Chelsea, I think, will be in the reckoning because a while ago you mentioned the top three and you mentioned Aston Villa without mentioning Chelsea. I think Chelsea will have something to say come end
So
of
Chelsea
May.
is now a settled squad then, Sir Cole. You're seeing that the coach has now found his best 11 and is now a settled squad.
Well, into the weekend, how many games before had Chelsea lost in the league?
Mm.
one.
One, and that was on match day one. So they are credible in terms of their credentials. They are showing they are improving on in both ends, attacking wise and in defense. And I think as season progresses, they will continue to get better.
Do you see them finishing in the top four?
I see them finishing in the top four. Yes.
In the top four at the expense of who though?
Probably Aston Villa.
Like if they Aston Villa, but yes, they will be in the top four.
Oh, so you what about United? You don't see United up there?
No.
Come on.
I mean, United
Ah,
did get a quality. I mean, to me, United probably put in one of the best second half performances of the season thus far in coming from one goal down to beat a fairly decent Brentford team, to be honest. I mean, 2-1 winners over there at Old Trafford. That should have been a welcome result there, Circle.
it is a welcome result. 3 points are valuable for all teams. But I mean, Brentford isn't really a team of you would say of high reference to be hyping over a win
Mm.
over Brentford. That
Well,
should
I
be a
mean, yeah, man, you
routine
have
win.
to take whatever they can get at this
Well,
point, it seems.
Exactly.
you,
Which
you,
is
you,
why they're not seen above
to be
anything above
honest,
six.
to be honest, you can't really dismiss some of these these lesser clubs, so to speak. These not top four, top six clubs because majority of the season these are the teams you're going to be playing. I thought it was a good performance from Man United overall. I thought two brilliantly taken goals, especially that Garnacho goal, and a lot of credit to Hoyland getting his goal. I think Xerxes probably should have scored as well to make it 3-1, but I thought it was a very good second half performance, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
definitely a good second half. It seems as if whenever Ten Hag is about to be fired, Sir Cole, he finds a result which keeps his job. And this was another
Yeah, this,
case in point, to be honest. I mean, had he lost to Brentford, the pressure would have been tremendous. And it seemed as if Ten Hag is probably 2 games away or 2 consecutive losses from being fired from the United job. But I'm happy United got a result, and I'm happy that Ten Hag has maintained his position there as the top man over there at Manchester United. But definitely a good result, 3 points on the board, and United looking to climb up the ranks. Unfortunate from Brentford got that header from Ethan Pinnock, right? Almost on the crisp of halftime there, but could not hold on. We saw the return of Wissa Sirkul, one of your favorite footballers, it seems.
no, it's not really a very footballer, but a very good boy.
Yes, I mean, Brentford gave a good account, but I mean, the result wouldn't have surprised Brentford per se. I don't think this is a game that will make or break Brentford's season. They are more likely to beat up on teams in and around them. Those are the teams that will have a greater impact on Brentford's prowess in the league. And so far, they've been doing quite decent enough. Good start to the season, and they do have a few quality players in their ranks that can definitely upset the apple cart from time to time. But in this case, is what it was not to be. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Some other big results, Sir Cole. I mean, uh Spurs running away, big winners, brushing aside West Ham, and West Ham seem to be one of those teams that can't seem to find a win.
Yeah, West Ham has not gotten it right defensively at all this season. They come up with a win recently, but by and large, they tend to concede, and not only concede, but concede multiple goals. This Spurs team has been clicking in attack and really exploited this West Ham defense, especially in the second half. Started the second half, Spurs just basically took over the game with a genius by the coach in removing Madison at halftime, moving Ostevsky further inside, and that really changed the game for Spurs, and they just took over the game
Oh, but
from
was
that
that a
instant.
forced stage though, Sir Cole, or was it totally tactical?
Totally tactical. I don't think
Mm.
Madison has an injury. We just a bit genius by the coach, and it paid
Mm.
off well.
Pochettino. So it seems as if you highly rate this coach, Sir Cole. I mean, with his tactical prowess, and of course, we see the patterns of play coming out of that Spurs team ever since he was installed in the hot seat.
Well, you have to give the coach credit where it is due, and on this occasion it was due. So we give the credit, but sometimes when he has to get the beating, then we do that as well.
Well, I mean, Spurs, I would say, is quietly churning out some results. I mean, they are not a highly regarded team. It's almost as if we're waiting for them to fail. But in the interim, they do have good footballing talent on display there. The likes of a son, as you mentioned, Kulusevski, Madison, Johnson, who has been in red hot form of late, and Timo Werner and a few others over there at Spurs. But they are quietly churning over some results, and they may create a few upsets in the games to come. In all honesty, they're just one of those teams that can get a result on the day, so to speak. They may not be the favorite, but they can definitely get a result and upset one of the bigger boys in the league.
Well, if you notice, Spurs are always on the front foot. They're never a team to be behind the ball trying to counter. They're always on the go. They won't bring the ball into the corner and try to see out a game. They're always on the press for a goal, which is why they score so many. So they tend to outscore opponents. Don't really keep many clean
Clean
sheets, but
sheets, right?
yes, so sometimes
Attacking
the goals they
football
score are
circle.
Yes, that is their philosophy. That's what they believe in, and that's what they go out and demonstrate week in, week out.
Week in, week out, indeed. And another big controversy, Christoph, over there in that Man City game. What's your take on that? I mean, Man City finding a late winner from Sir John Stones, Sir Cole, big England international coming up with another winner deep into extra time. And it was controversy where initially the goal was chalked off. But again, going back to the VAR replay booth, the referee decided to award the goal. It seemed as if Bernardo Silva was in an offside position, possibly interfering with play. But I gather the referee said that wasn't the case. What's your take, Christoph? If that was Arsenal, would that opportunity have been given?
I think the goal would have stand for Arsenal. However, I think it's rather hypocritical the manner in which Man City has scored because a couple of weeks ago Bernardo Silva was the one complaining about Arsenal's corner routines, yet he is there, copying Arsenal's corner like for like. So
Well, it seemed to be have worked out in this case, getting that winner deep into extra time. I must say, I feel it for the Wolves team, Sir Cole. I mean, still at the bottom of the table. Possibly it's the schedule, Sir Cole. I'm not sure. Maybe they have just been facing some of the top teams in the
um
league thus far.
I I
Yeah, they
I
have.
personally I think it's the schedule because if you look at all the games that Wolves have played so far, there's only one game that I think they should have won without a doubt, and that was the Nottingham Forest game. And also, if you go back to just week one to know, Wolves has only failed to score in one game, and that's against Arsenal. They've scored in every other game. I think it's the schedule. I think once they start getting some low bottom half, like
Less
United
offensive
and
teams.
right. Once they start playing teams that are not top six teams, then you will
You
probably
sound
see
as if
them
you were saying United there, Christoph.
bottom half of the table teams,
Mm, like
Ah.
United.
like United.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves, I'm not sure what to make of them, to be honest. I think I said a couple of weeks ago, confidence sometimes takes a beating, even though, as you said, the schedule has been rather unfavorable where they're facing potentially top four teams, potentially teams in title contention. While you do put up a good fight, you still end up on the wrong end of the results, and that can definitely hurt the confidence in the team. But as you say,
Definitely.
hopefully when the schedule turns, then that good play will start yielding some points, pretty much.
Definitely, I think that has to be the biggest concern for the manager. How is he going to keep his teams motivated once the fixture list is more favorable to them? Because again, like I said, they've scored in all but one games. They've been scoring early goals. They've been doing well. But the manager has to make sure that the heads don't drop. So when they come around to teams or games that they can definitely get those results from, they need to be picking up those 3 points. But as it stands, I don't think the manager, I don't think the players, I don't think maybe even the board or the owner of the team should be concerned about this run so far because it's all been difficult games.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think probably the manager on the hot seat is probably, I would
Crystal
say,
Palace.
yeah, that's what I was saying. The Crystal Palace manager, Hertzler, I believe it's his name. Crystal Palace really, really struggling this season. Circle going down again. Uh, this afternoon to, I would say, a surprisingly good Nottingham Forest team. I think, in my opinion, Nottingham Forest has been the standout team for me as a surprise team. When you look at the league, the usual suspects, but in terms of one of those teams coming to the fore, I would give that crown to Nottingham Forest currently. They've really impressed me in terms of their gameplay and the results they've been garnering thus far this season.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially without any real standout player in the team, they are just playing effective football. They have really found a pattern of play which is we suits them, which get the best from each player, and have been getting the results. Defensively, they seem to be very solid as well, not really giving up many chances at all. When they do concede, there doesn't seem to be more than one goal. So they seem to have found a goal scorer as well in Chris Wood, getting the goals for them. So good work there by the manager to be getting those results with Forest.
Definitely, definitely. Santos returning to the EPL after a sojourn over there in the Desert League. Former Wolves manager had a short stint at Spurs. Went over there to the Middle East and is now back since last season with Nottingham Forest. And this seemed to be his team now, Sir Cole. His DNA is all over this team. His coaching philosophy, his patterns of play. The characteristics of the previous Wolves team. I can definitely see some similarities with this Nottingham Forest team, where they were a team that was difficult to play against. You could not just walk in there and it was an automatic 3 point. You had to go there and earn it. And thus far, confidence is high in the team. I would say, Sir Cole, that this team is made up of a number of what I would say top four, let's call it rejects then. Players who have failed, quote and
Mm,
unquote, failed at top four teams, the like of Ilanga, for example, Sir Cole, former Manchester United player, the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi,
mm.
former Chelsea man, so Moreno, who was surplus to requirement over there at Aston Villa, for example. So a number of these players played in top teams, but deemed surplus to requirement, and Nottingham Forest seemed to be the beneficiary of these movements, internal player movements.
Yeah, and their playmaker as well is really of some quality. Hasn't gotten much looking at as it relates to you know international duty, but really is of a level where can really get a look in. I think.
Oh, you're referring
Mm.
to Gibbs White?
Morgan gives way, yes. Mhm.
Possible England international circle. What does he need to do to get a call? Is he another
Well,
James Ward-Prowse? Speaking of which, James Ward-Prowse made a move over there as well, too. So he's now playing this trade for Forest.
yeah. England really has
Oh, and
a
speaking of which,
abundance.
circle, not to cut you, but I haven't seen you since Tuchel. I haven't seen you since Tuchel took over the big England job. You have
uh,
to talk to us about that. What are the expectations? Can England finally lift a trophy since 1966?
well,
Before Circle talk,
yeah.
obviously the expectation is to win the next World Cup. That
That
has to
has
be
to
the
be.
that
Yeah.
has to be that is the only expectation.
I mean, with the quality of players in that England team, I mean, nothing other than lifting that trophy would be acceptable.
Yeah, well, I mean, back-to-back finals at the Euros, World Cup semi and quarters, losing to the defending champions last World Cup. I mean, yeah, the quality of players we have, at least the semi-finals should be a minimum requirement. I think from this England team going forward.
Well, I mean, indeed, indeed, England, England.
Mm, mm.
Three Lions circle, but definitely we'll be here to see the World Cup in 2026 for sure. And we will, if Tuchel can last that long, football is a very funny sport.
Mm.
So we'll see who take England to this World Cup, but a German, question marks there, Sir Cole, one of your big rivals, and that's where you go for your coach. I'm not sure if that will go down well with the English football in public if results take a turn for the worse,
Well,
or
I saw a little clip this afternoon, and someone mentioned that we had a similar kind of um, reception when Capello was the coach, when Sven-Goran Eriksson was the coach. So it is not the
mm,
first that England has had a
non-English
foreign coach.
managers, so to
Yeah,
speak.
it's really not not the first. So it's the first German, but not the first when we hired a foreign coach at all.
In
I don't think the nationality of the coach should be an issue because it's not like England are producing any top flight managers, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there you go. The degree seem to be lacking Sir Cole when it comes down to England managers and what they have to show in terms of history. Not many trophies have been won by
Well,
England managers,
they say
I
that
or
mean,
at least for a long time.
the greatest manager to come from the United Kingdom was Scottish. So
mm,
You're referring to the great Sir Alex there,
yeah,
Christoph.
exactly. So England hasn't produced. When you look at the Premier League, look at how the English managers are doing.
Well, I mean, speaking of which, no English manager has ever won the EPL title, Sir Cole.
Exactly.
So
So
technically,
mm.
we can rule out any team with an England manager currently in terms of lifting that title
Based on
by
the
just the
trend,
law of
yes.
averages and the history.
Yeah, which is true. So that the last England coach to win a trophy in England would have been from 2000 and about 8. So that's the last
But
time an English manager lifted
who
silverware within the English top flight game.
who was that?
yeah, and if you look at the coaches in
Harry
the
Redknapp, I
league
believe.
now, Sir Cole, how many England managers are actually there? I mean, the
I'm
only
not
one
sure,
that
but
really
not
comes
many.
to mind is Eddie Howe. Possibly Dyche. Is Dyche English? I believe Dyche might be English as well
Yeah, Sean
over
Dyche
there
is
at
English, I
Everton.
believe. That,
So I
mm,
can think off the top of my head, Eddie
mm,
Howe, Dyche.
mm,
That's about it, I think. Everybody else, I think, is from foreign countries, so
foreign
to speak.
countries. Mm.
Indeed, indeed. But a few other decent results. Everton seem to be on the up, Christoph. After a poor start, I would say the last couple of games, they've looked a solid unit without again any big star name players. And Sean Dyche seemed to be doing a fantastic job over there on a shoestring budget.
I mean, Sean Dyche has been doing it for a very long time, doing well with lesser teams. It's just a matter of how far can he take them, to be fair. So
That is indeed the
his
question.
his his ability is not in question, right? It's how far he goes really, because especially with these teams that these non-top six teams, and even some of the teams in the top six, it doesn't matter how well the team is doing if you could have a poor season or a poor run of games and then you're out, and it has happened to Sean Dyche. So we know that he's a quality manager, just how well will this team do and for how long?
That is indeed the question. Definitely need some financial backing, I must say, in order to elevate this team.
You
But
know, just interestingly, a few years back, they were being coached by the great, the legend, Ancelotti. And he didn't perform any great miracles with them either. He has left, gone back to Madrid, and
I
has
mean,
won a couple Champions League with
didn't he
Madrid.
leave
So
halfway through his first season to return to Madrid?
yeah, I
well,
think
I would
so.
get once he got that call, it was a no-brainer, to be honest. I
No,
mean, any
to
coach,
to
very few
my
coach would remain
to
at
my
their current
knowledge,
club.
it wasn't he got the call. No. He called Madrid and said, "Hey, you want me to come coach?" And then Madrid thought about it. I said, "All right, come." So that is what happened. Madrid wasn't looking at him as a coach. He called Madrid and said,
Mm.
"Hey, I can come over there."
Interesting stuff there. Interesting stuff there. But Sir Cole, that man again, Welbeck, former Manchester United man, getting the job done for Brighton. Brighton picking up another magnificent win versus Newcastle, winning that one goal to nil. And it's that man again, Welbeck on the score sheet. He has to be one of the red hot strikers on farm in the league currently.
Yeah, for me, Welbeck has always been an underrated striker. It's sometimes you're just in a club where, because you're not a starter, because you're one of the homegrown talents, you don't really get as much stripes as you really should. But while not a standout baller, you will say is a really an effective baller and can get the job done as he has been doing this season so far for Brighton and for the past number of seasons. I might add.
Yeah, he definitely seemed to have found a home at Brighton, and he is definitely on farm. One of the hottest properties in the league currently, banging in goals, and Brighton
Uh,
making a resurgence.
hottest properties are not. I don't think anybody will be lining up to take Welbeck off of.
Well,
Not
I,
not that I don't think he's a quality striker. I think he's decent. I think it's his injury record really that
Yeah, and probably his age as
him.
well.
And right, will
He's
put
probably on
teams
the
off
wrong
of him.
side of 30.
Right. So I won't. I don't think we'll be seeing teams lining up to sign
Well,
Welbeck from
definitely
Brighton.
not, definitely not.
Mm.
But he's definitely doing an effective job in the role
Definitely,
he has been given for
definitely,
Brighton, to be
he
honest.
has hit a renaissance, and maybe this is what Welbeck could have been had injuries not kind of has he not succumbed to so many injuries throughout his career. Potentially, this could have been Welbeck currently at Man United.
Possibly, but I mean, do recall that after leaving United, he did went over to the Arsenal camp.
And for a
And
majority of his Arsenal career, he was injured. But when he was not injured, he did perform well.
mm, indeed, indeed. Leicester Circle, Leicester getting a big win over Southampton, and Southampton looking like one of the early relegation candidates. Circle, can Southampton escape relegation?
Well, after 8 games, it is definitely early, I think, to say definitively, because we have seen teams, come back from early. It looks like yes, they will definitely go to in the end not go. I recall a few years ago, persons had predicted that Newcastle would definitely go, and under Steve Bruce, they were kept very much afloat in the league. So yes, it is looking dim, but I wouldn't really call it as yet. Probably one signing in January can change the whole fortunes. We really and truly never know. It does need to be better than 3 teams, and I think that it can be better than 3 teams.
Early days indeed, early days. But Christoph, we're quickly running out of time. Any final thoughts as it relates to this weekend's, of action? It's now 8 games on the cards. What's your take thus far?
I mean, as I've said, aside from the poor refereeing that we've seen this season, and not just against Arsenal, but against other teams as well. Aside from the poor refereeing, I think the season has been going well, and most of the results are as expected, to be honest. Most of them, not all, but because a couple weeks ago we did see Tottenham, give up a 2-goal lead to Brighton to lose 3-2, but majority of the results have been expected. The season is moving along nicely. I think the football being played this season has been very good.
I concur, I concur. But quick final thoughts, Sir Cole. Quickly running out of time.
Yeah, we were entertained for this past weekend. Looking forward to another exciting weekend of football this weekend as well.
Well, thanks to Sir Cole, Christoph, for coming through and sharing your thoughts and your opinions. We're done subscribers. Continue to share, like, and of course, help us to continue to grow by subscribing. 500 is the mark before the end of the year in terms of the number of subscribers. But there you have it. Until next time, this is Rafa signing off.